Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the NFL Final Look picks for tomorrow. We have a 12-game slate for tomorrow, so we're back to having kind of a full Sunday. Some of these teams are coming back from their bye week. Last couple of Sundays, we had like a 9 or 10-game slate, so I'm looking forward to this bigger slate that we have for tomorrow. Let's get into it. If you guys enjoy the video, appreciate it if you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. This is going to be kind of just my core plays right now on Saturday afternoon that I'm making the video. So at quarterback, you have a number of guys that are expensive, a bunch above 7K. Josh Allen is the only one above 8K. There is probably a pretty big difference in production between Josh Allen and the next highest scoring quarterback, projected-wise, at least for tomorrow. I think the Bills will pile up the points against Miami. Miami's defense has been absolutely putrid. Josh Allen has been rolling. Tough loss against Tennessee last game, but Josh Allen did everything he could. 353 yards passing. He still gives you a ton of rushing upside, 3 passing touchdowns. Josh Allen is just such a stud. Matthew Stafford is right below him at 76. I think he's an okay play. I'm not that interested in Matthew Stafford when I can just get up to Josh Allen. Stafford, even in some of these games where they've been winning by so many points, they still continue to throw the football. So McVay just likes to pile up the scores on teams, I guess. There's always a chance that they decide not to, if they're up by a couple of touchdowns against Houston. But they haven't been willing to do that, so I'm not going to speculate on that anymore. But I don't want to pay 76 for Matthew Stafford. I'd rather go down a little bit. I've been playing Hurts so much. He's been fine. It's been insane that he has like over 50% of his fantasy points have come in the fourth quarter this year. More than 50%. He struggles like the whole first 3 quarters, and then he just has to pile up the garbage time scores late. So even though the Eagles have been so bad offensively, Hurts has yet to drop under 20 fantasy points. He's had 1 game over 30. You'd like to see that a little bit more, but he just gives you so much rushing upside. He has 5 rushing touchdowns on the season. Now he gets such an easy matchup against Detroit. He's had a couple of tough spots here recently going into Las Vegas, even though that was a lot of Eagles fans out there. But on the road in that one, then he played Tampa, then he played Carolina, which heading into that week 5, their defense was playing well. The Chiefs were a pretty easy matchup. Cowboys defense has some solid options there. So this is like the best spot he's had, I would say, since week 1 against Atlanta, and he played well in that one. I think the Eagles will get the win, and I think Jalen Hurts will lead them to that. So I'm going to plug in Jalen Hurts once again as my quarterback for tomorrow. I think there's like nobody in the 6K range, so it's really 7K and above for quarterbacks, so I don't really mind paying up this week. You only have Ryan Tannehill at $6,600, and you have Winston at $6,000. I think Tannehill makes some sense in tournaments, but I think this could be a trap game for the Titans. I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts pull it out at home. That's Tennessee riding, coming in off of 2 huge wins, going up against a divisional rival who they did win the first meeting, but now on the road. I think I would like the Colts in this one. But you have Carson, Wentz, and Matt Ryan as 2 options below $6,000 that I like. I think both are in play, depending on $200 difference. Probably like Matt Ryan just a little bit more because they've been willing to throw the football a little bit more recently with Matt Ryan, but they just let him cook now. First couple of weeks, they've really been prioritizing the running game, but recently Matt Ryan's thrown for 336, 342, approached almost 300 against Washington. They're letting him air it out a little bit more, which is what you want to see. He's finally starting to get some connections going with Kyle Pitts. Calvin Ridley, his time hopefully will come. We're almost halfway through the season, and Calvin Ridley has yet to have 20-plus fantasy points in any single game. Now, I still like the price tag on Ridley. I would still probably like to get to him against Carolina, who's come crashing down to earth after a hot start to the year. But I don't think you can go wrong with either of those 2 cheap quarterbacks. Then I don't really see myself going to anybody else at quarterback. So for me, it's Jalen Hurts, it's Josh Allen, it's Carson Wentz, it's Matt Ryan as the ones I'm really looking at. Running backs, you have Henry and Kamara, both similarly priced. Both don't have the easiest spots. Derrick Henry just gives you so much upside. Against the Colts, he had 22 fantasy points, no touchdowns for him, but he did go over 100 yards. The Colts defense has been decent against the run. They've been really good recently, so I don't mind fading Derrick Henry once again this Sunday. Alvin Kamara has a tough spot against the Bucs, but we finally saw Sean Payton throw the football to Kamara last game against Seattle. I don't know if that'll happen again, but you're definitely not going to be running the football against the Bucs, so I would expect Kamara to catch a lot of passes out of the backfield, possibly get you another 10-plus targets tomorrow. Eckler looks like he's hopeful to play. but I don't really want to play an injured running back when I have so many other options. This running back slate is pretty solid. We have Jonathan Taylor, who's been rolling after pretty much a cold start to the year, but he was still giving so many opportunities. Just wasn't getting into the end zone. But now he has touchdowns in 4 straight weeks. He has 6 over the last 4 games, getting around like 20 touches, 15 to 20 touches a game, which is solid. Not the best spot here to run the football, but he can make an impact at the goal line. I think he's leading the NFL in goal line carries. Najee Harris against Cleveland, he's 75. He's also, if you're looking for a guy that will just get you a ton of touches, it's definitely Najee Harris. He has 30 touches in his last game, 25, 21, 28. Looking at around 20 plus touches out of Najee Harris. Not the easiest spot. I think this one can be a lower scoring game. So if you wanted to fade a game on the slate, I wouldn't really mind going with this one. So I'm not that interested in Najee Harris, but if you make a bunch of teams, he should be in your player pool. I like Deandre Swift against Philly. I've been playing Swift a lot. His price tag is more expensive now. He's 71, but I think for good reason. He's been utilized heavily in the passing game this year for running backs, which is always a good sign. He's still getting you around like 10 to 15 carries, which is good. The Eagles' defense has been so bad against a run this year after they were so good last year. For some reason, their defensive coordinator has just not been good at stopping the run. So whether he gets his fantasy production from carries or whether he gets it from targets, I think Swift is pretty safe on Sunday slate. And then I don't mind going with like Leonard Fournette here. I don't mind going with Darrell Henderson, James Robinson, Nick Chubb. Without Kareem Hunt, Chubb probably looks pretty appealing. So those 3 options are also good pivots. And then below $6,000, there's only a couple that I'm really looking at, and the one is on the Eagles, Kenny Gainwell. Miles Sanders is out. He's on injured reserve, so he's going to miss at least 3 weeks. That's going to make Gainwell look really good, at least until his price kind of jumps up. He took over for Miles Sanders. He got hurt pretty early in that game. He got just 9 touches, but he did get into the end zone. Hopefully, they start running the football more. I don't know what Nick Sirianni is doing. He's just been kind of talking about flowers and stuff, I guess, to players. But you want to run the football against Detroit. Whether Kenny Gainwell can have success on the ground, I think he definitely could. He's pretty explosive. He's kind of like a smaller back, like Darren Sproles type. But he can also get you a lot of receptions out of the backfield. So give me both running backs in this game. Both I would expect to get you like good amount of work, not only on the ground, but also catching passes. And Gainwell makes for a good stack with Hurts because they both could get into the end zone just running it. And Hurts could also just dump it off to Gainwell, and they can and Gainwell can get touchdown reception there. So I think that stack looks pretty good. And then under $5,000 for a running back, don't really see anybody. Maybe Singletary for tournaments. Carter has been getting more work for the Jets, but they don't have a quarterback, so I don't really want to play anybody on the Jets, but that's like for a punt play if you make 150 teams. Wide receiver position is loaded, especially the mid-range for tomorrow. Top end, you have Cooper Kupp. He's 9,000 against Houston. I like Stephon Diggs at 81. Diggs is looking great last few weeks. Finally got into the end zone last week against Tennessee. I expect them to put up the points. And now missing Dawson Knox, who was getting into the end zone a lot. I think that'll just benefit like other receivers on the team like Diggs. Looking for a little bit of a cheaper option. I think Deebo Samuel looks really appealing. You have Jamar Chase there as well, who I think will get a lot of ownership. But I'd probably like to get to like Deebo Samuel. You have Mike Williams there as well. He's expensive now at 77, so I probably like getting to Deebo Samuel over some of those more expensive receivers. He just gets you so much upside. Garoppolo's back, and Garoppolo loves to just throw the ball to Deebo Samuel. This matchup, Chicago, you don't really know what Chicago's defense is going to bring you. They're bad against the run, so you could see them run the football. But if they decide to throw it, Deebo Samuel should get you a lot of work because they're still missing George Kittle. And they haven't really gotten anything out of any other wide receiver this year besides George Kittle. But just some plug-and plays. Mike Evans is going to be facing Marshawn Lattimore, they've gone back and forth so many times over the years. Mike Evans has had some struggles against him. So just give me Chris Godwin again. There's no Antonio Brown, possibly no Rob Gronkowski, who's questionable. Even if he does play, he's not really going to affect Chris Godwin much. He's going to just take production away from Braid and O.J. Howard. Godwin finally had a huge game last week without without Antonio Brown. Expect him to get you heavy targets once again, and I'm not worried about the matchup at all. The Bucs put up points against every single team. Godwin, still looking for a 2-touchdown game. Seems like everybody else has had one. Godwin maybe can get one this week. He's only 64. He's my favorite wide receiver. Calvin Ridley, $6,600. He had 10 targets, only for 26 yards. Like, that should never happen. He's yet to have 100-plus yards this year. This isn't the easiest spot against Carolina, but I don't mind paying 66 for Ridley just because we know he can break out. I think the breakout game is going to come, and I definitely don't want to miss it for how much I've been playing Calvin Ridley this year. But give me Deebo Samuel right now. I like him at 74. He's a little bit underpriced, I would say. It gives you so much upside. We saw Tom Brady kind of carve up that Bears defense. Garoppolo's not anything like Tom Brady, but maybe you can at least dump the ball to Samuel, maybe take some shots with Deebo Samuel against that secondary. And then all the way at the bottom, or below $6,000 for a receiver, no Julio Jones, so you're going to be looking to possibly A.J. Brown at 69. He had a good week last week, so I'm expecting him to be more popular. But A.J. Brown, I like him. I like Calvin Ridley. You could go with Keenan Allen as well at $6,500. He's been disappointing this year. Minus one good game, but definitely been disappointing. Him and Ridley really been disappointing so far, at least. Below 6K, if we did get Tyrod Taylor back, that would make Cooks look a little bit better. He's still playable at 57, but he's still, doesn't have such a high ceiling because they're going to struggle to score points. Devante Smith, he looks appealing at 55. If you wanted to just go with some Bucs or go with some Bills players, you can plug in Emmanuel Sanders at 54. I kind of like Michael Pittman. He's $5,300. He's been the number one receiver all year. Starting to finally get some connections going with Carson Wentz. There's a chance there's no T.Y. Hilton, although I think he will play. The coach said he did look good out there in Friday's practice, but there's no Paris Campbell. So Pittman's going to be out there on the field pretty much every single snap that they're going to throw the football. It's going to be Pittman, it's going to be Pascal, and then possibly T.Y. Hilton if he's in. But Pittman is just a little bit too cheap. He did have, I think 12 targets. Yeah, 12 targets last time they played Tennessee. That was back in week 3. Last week against San Fran, it was just kind of an ugly game with the weather, but he still had a productive showing. Wentz is really good at throwing the deep ball. He's leading the NFL in deep ball accuracy. So if they decide to stretch Pittman out, definitely could pay off at only 53. So he's my favorite kind of value receiver on this one. Cole Beasley will get some more opportunities, I would say, without their tight end, Dawson Knox. He's 49. He looks appealing. Jerry Jeudy looks to be back, so that looks appealing. Don't know if he'll just. I don't think he'll just get you a lot of work right out of the gate, but 49 for him maybe makes some sense in tournaments. And then you're just kind of guessing with some of these guys at the bottom. Maybe you can go Jalen Reagor if you think he's going to catch a touchdown in front of 3 bodies and just kind of run into the end zone like he did last week. But I don't really see anybody else. Maybe Gabriel Davis for like a GPP even. Maybe you can play him in cash if you're feeling him, but I think he's mainly just a tournament option. Tight end wise, you don't have any expensive tight end on the slate. No Kelsey, no Waller. Pitts is the most expensive player at 63, then drops off 900 to Hawkinson. So both guys at the top I think are fine. I like Pitts more than Hawkinson. I'm going with a more cheaper receiver or cheaper tight end. I like Dallas Goedert at only 47. You have, if Gronk plays, he looks fine at 46 if he's not going to be limited. And then the 3K range, you can go Jared Cook if you wanted to. One other guy in the 4K range is Hunter Henry. He's just been getting a lot of touchdowns. He's going up against his former team if you think, if you want to factor that into it. CJ Uzomah has 17 catches on the season and he has 5 touchdowns. Definitely not sustainable, but he gives you tournament winning upside. Then I don't mind going with like Sweeney all the way at the bottom. He's only $2,900. Their coach, Sean McDermott, said that he's going to have an opportunity. So that makes me think that they're at least going to run him out there for a good amount of snaps. Now, if they only have him as their only tight end, they might have brought in somebody off the practice squad, but I don't expect him to get much action in the game. You'll probably see a lot of Sweeney, and then you'll see like a lot more of Gabriel Davis and a lot more of Cole Beasley. But 29 for a team that loves to throw the football. Josh Allen likes to throw to tight end, so maybe Sweeney can pay off. And I don't think he'll be that popular. And then Dan Arnold at the bottom as well at 28. Looks fine. And then defenses. Most expensive defenses, the Rams, are way too expensive, I would say, on DraftKings. It's going to be tough for me to pay 51 for them. I would probably look to like maybe the Bucs defense if Winston going up against his former team. Maybe he gets into some trouble and throws some picks, which he's done a good job of not doing, but anything can happen. So I don't mind the Bucs defense. And then I like the Bills a lot at only 33 against Miami. I think Miami's going to struggle to score the football. And they're at home. Sign me up for the Bills at 33. They're my favorite mid-range defense. And then for value, I kind of like the Colts defense a little bit against Tennessee. They've been playing a lot better at a very good price tag, and I think you can get some good leverage because I think nobody will really play the Colts defense if they're playing like A.J. Brown or if they're playing Derrick Henry. But I would not be surprised. I think the Titans might be in for a trap game tomorrow. Then all the way at the bottom, you have Washington football team against Denver's offense, who's really struggled. And the Washington football team has looked a little bit better defensively, holding KC to 13 points, holding the Packers to just 24. They've been getting some sacks, which could happen again, especially with the Bridgewater still possibly dealing with a little bit of a bum foot. But I like these 6 to kind of get you started. Hurts with Gainwell, you get Swift to bring it back, and then you go with some receivers in great spots. Chris Godwin without Antonio Brown, Deebo Samuel, just with a pretty good price tag and getting his main quarterback back in Garoppolo. And then Michael Pittman is just a little bit too cheap for a good spot, and possibly not having T.Y. Hilton out there as well. So that's it for DraftKings. Let's go over to Fanduel. All right, over on Fanduel, it's pretty much the same kind of deal. I'm looking to target the same players. At quarterback, I like Josh Allen a lot. Then you have Jalen Hurts, your second most expensive quarterback. Give me Josh Allen in that situation. Fanduel, it's easier to pay up for a quarterback. So it's not that much of a difference paying $400 more for Josh Allen than Jalen Hurts. You have some other guys above 8,000, which look fine, like Tom Brady. And then 7K range, you have Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz. I still like both of them at the cheaper range. There's not a ton of quarterbacks that look that appealing. There's only like 4 or 5 that I really want to target. And it's basically Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan. And then maybe you can talk me into like one of like, if you wanted to be contrarian and go with like Tom Brady, or go with like Matthew Stafford. At running back, same type of deal. They've priced up Henry's 10.5, so he's tough to get to. I'd rather get to Alvin Kamara, save $2,000. Jonathan Taylor is more expensive than Kamara, which I'd probably go to Kamara over Jonathan Taylor. Najee Harris is too expensive on FanDuel at $9,000. And then Chubb is $8K, he looks fine, but give me a guy that will get you a lot of work in both the running game and the passing game in a great spot, which is Deandre Swift. Mixon, Henderson are viable options there as well. And then we have Kenny Gainwell is still going to be a great value play. Damian Harris approaching almost 7K. He's fine, but the Eagles running back Gainwell is just too cheap. He has to be in your FanDuel lineup at only $5,900. Wide receiver, same type of deal that I'm looking to get to. Deebo Samuel at $7,800. I like A.J. Brown a little bit at $76, just without Julio Jones. But Stephon Diggs has to be the first receiver that I plug in. He's only $7,300. He's way too cheap on FanDuel. Chris Godwin also, without Antonio Brown, with Mike Evans in a tough spot. He's also going to be my second favorite receiver. And then Pittman looks appealing as well at $66. But you might be able to get up to like Calvin Ridley at $7K instead. On DraftKings, Pittman is $1,300 cheaper than Ridley. On FanDuel, he's $400 cheaper. So I would just take Calvin Ridley in that situation. Tight end wise, same type of deal. Kyle Pitts looks appealing. T.J. Hawkinson is my second favorite. And then at the bottom, looking to maybe Dan Arnold. You have Sweeney at only 43, I believe, which is just super affordable. If you think he's going to get any sort of work, you can really crush that price tag. And then defenses, it is the Bills, who I like at 47. You can get up to the Rams on FanDuel. They're only a couple $100 more than $100 more than the Bengals. So I like the Rams. I like the Bills. For the mid-range, I like the Titans. I like the Colts at 38. And I like the Washington football team at 34. That should about round out the picks. So pretty similar on both sides. I want to get to a lot of... I'm going to get you at least a couple of pieces in this Philly-Detroit game, the running backs in particular. I want to attack, at least get to 1 or 2 of Josh Allen and his receivers, whether it be Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, the tight end, Sweeney, or looking at some of the value with Beasley. Basically, like all the Bills receivers are in play because I think they're going to crush. And then Chris Godwin is a staple in my lineup. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Best of luck tomorrow, and I'll see you all next time.